Hi guys, 18Dap here and welcome to this match preview for this weekend's League 2 fixture at the Peninsula Stadium. It's Salford City against Doncaster Rovers. Let's get the video started. So guys, welcome to this match preview, Salford City versus Doncaster Rovers in League 2. Should be an entertaining game. Two teams, one definitely fighting for playoffs, one with an outside chance of getting into the playoffs, so all to play for in this one. If this is the first video that you've seen on the channel, please consider clicking subscribe so you don't miss any future content. If you're an existing subscriber, thank you so much for the support. Getting closer to 3,000 as the days go by, so please, if you haven't already, get subscribe clicked so that we can break that 3,000 subscriber milestone. It would be greatly appreciated, and once again, thank you for supporting the channel if you've been here for a while. If you are new though, this is the format that we go through match previews. We'll look at previous meetings between the two clubs, current form across all competitions. I choose a Doncaster Rovers player to say a few words about. I also have a look at Salford's squad and I give my opinion on the opponent's one to watch. But as I always say, you know your club much better than what I do, so please in the comments down below let me know if you think there should be somebody else us Rovers fans should be watching out for in tomorrow's fixture. And then we finish the video off with three predictions. The predicted team lineup thanks to FanHub. Me and the family have got a predictions league table, so there's an update on that, and there is movement this week. And then there's a score prediction, the all important score prediction at the very end. So without further ado, let's get into previous meetings. And there's not much to talk about on this one. We've only faced off once in our history competitively, and the Rovers came out on top in that fixture. It was the earlier one this season, 20th of August 2022 in League 2 at the EcoPower Stadium, and that was a 2-1 victory for the Rovers, and boy would I take that tomorrow for sure. We will get into the reason why later on in the video. So yeah, not much to go on in terms of history between the two clubs. I can't really cast any sort of judgment with only playing one competitive game, so it could be an interesting one come 5 o'clock tomorrow. Current form, both teams hit and miss really. Looking at Donny, 2 defeats, a draw, a defeat and then a victory in the last one. Salford, a defeat, a win, a draw, a win, a defeat. Decent little pattern there for Salford, but for Donny, we followed up a dismal display midweek last week against lowly Harrogate, getting beat 2-0 in a very, very poor game. Got very frustrated in that one, but we followed it up with a decent win over Wimbledon on Saturday. It took us to go 1-0 down in that game though to kickstart us and get us playing any sort of football. Changed the shape a little bit, went 2 up top, and I think it benefited us. We looked a lot better, but I fear if we go 1 behind against Salford, they've got a good goal scoring record this season, and we'll get into that shortly. So yeah, I think if we go 1-0 down against these tomorrow, we could be in for a tough long afternoon. But I believe our inconsistencies this season will cost us our place in the top 7 come the end of it. But there is still a slight, very slight glimmer of hope. We sit 6 points behind Salford in 7th, with a game in hand over Salford. So this fixture is absolutely massive in determining the direction of both teams' seasons, I think. More so the Rovers. I think if we get a win tomorrow, then the belief will start to come back, I think. But it's the hope that kills you in football. But yeah, I think if Salford win it, I think our season is definitely done. But yeah, if we get somehow the 3 points and bring those 3 points home, then season playoffs could be back on. Moving on to Salford, a little hit and miss at the minute with the 2 wins, the 2 defeats and a draw in their last 5, and that sees them sitting in that final playoff spot only by a solitary point. But they have got 2 games more played than Mansfield, who sit in 8th, so it's vital that they get the 3 points, and this is what I mean about it being a huge game for both teams and the direction of the seasons will go in my opinion. I think a win for Salford gives them the belief that they're cementing their place in the playoffs. A defeat opens the door for Mansfield, especially with their 2 games in hand. And Salford, last time out, absolute thriller of a game, breathless end. Salford coming out on the wrong end of a 7-goal scoreline, having led 3-2 on the 85th minute. away at Crewe. 2 late goals there turned the game on its head, and Crewe came out 4-3 victors. But as I mentioned earlier, goals fairly easy to come by when it comes to Salford, joint second top scorers in the league with 54, but they also have the worst defence in the top 7. So I think we need to hit them. We need to go for them. Don't sit back, because if we sit back, I think they'll unlock us and get a few goals. But I think if we hit them, potentially those defensive frailties will hopefully come to the forefront and we'll get a result. So that's a little bit about Salford. Scoring a lot, conceding a lot in the top 7. On to player profile. So for this one, for the Rovers, I have gone with Tommy Rowe, 34 years old, left midfielder. Barely ever plays in the left midfield for us anymore. Is more of a left back or makeshift centre back. But I think he's had a tough season this season, missing 15 league games so far due to injuries. But I think his experience and calm head is massive on the pitch, extremely valuable especially to the younger players, just kind of coaching them through it whilst playing a game. And I think him being out for those 15 games, I think that has contributed to our inconsistency this season. So it's great to see him back playing regular football once again, and hopefully his place in the squad will improve the players around him, and we'll get more positive results than negative. But yeah, I think those 15 league games where Tommy's been missing, I think we have definitely missed him and the experience that he brings on the pitch. So great to see Tommy Rowe back regular football. Hopefully he can contribute to a goal or possibly score one himself tomorrow. Moving on to the one to watch for Salford. As I said at the start of the video, you know your club much better than what I do, so if you think there's somebody else us Rovers fans should be watching out for, please let us know in the comments down below. But for this one, I have gone with Callum Hendry, 25 years old, centre forward, 36 appearances for Salford, 7 goals, 4 assists. He contributes a hell of a lot with 7 goals and 4 assists. There's another player on 7 for Salford, and there's 2 on 9 goals. And I believe he's assisted the most in the Salford squad as well. So not only can he find the back of the net, he can find people who also can find the back of the net. As we said earlier in the video, plenty of goals from Salford. So there's numerous players that we need to be cautious of come 3 p.m. tomorrow. And I believe that Callum Hendry is one of those. Physical, decent with the ball at his feet. Yeah, for me, the one to watch, and I think he could have a positive day if we're not playing and performing at 100% tomorrow. So for me, one to watch for Salford is Callum Hendry. Moving on to the predicted team lineup, you'll see it on the screen now. I've made a change from my prediction last week, but I've kept the shape. I think we kind of moved to this when we went 1-0 down against Wimbledon, and I thought we performed better. So what I've gone with is Mitchell in goal, a back 3 of Oluwu, Nelson and Tommy Rowe. I think Anderson is still 50-50 about making this game, so that's why Tommy's in there. Brown on the right with Seaman on the left. I thought Seaman had a really positive game against Wimbledon, so I think he's deserved a place in this one. Mitchell is also 50-50 in goal. I forgot to mention that injury against Wimbledon, so it's unsure if he's going to be starting or not. Maybe the 16-year-old Oram. It's a tough one to come into, isn't it? But if he's good enough, he's old enough, and hopefully the back 3 or back 5 can protect him from too much danger. In the midfield, centre of midfield, Ben Close, Harrison Biggins with Kyle Hurst just in front, and then we had Molyneux and Miller up front as a front 2 against Wimbledon when they changed the shape. But I'd like to see Miller and Lavery start to make a partnership as the 2 up top. So that's my predicted lineup for this one. We will see if it is the starting 11 and if it can get us anything from this fixture. On to the predictions league table. So if you're new to this, me and the family predict the scoreline for every single league game. If we get spot on, we get 3 points. If we get the outcome of the game right but not the scoreline, we get 1 point. If we get it completely wrong, no points. And that's pretty much what I've got most games this season. But we have got movement this week. Max got the scoreline spot on. He went with a 2-1 win. Chris went with a 2-0 win. I went with a 1-1, I believe, and my dad went with a defeat. So Me and my dad get no points, still 4th and 3rd on 11 and 14 points, but Chris and Max have swapped places, with Max leapfrogging Chris onto 24 points into 1st, with Chris on 22. So not many games left to play. Can't see me catching Max, Chris or my dad up, but I think Chris and Max are fighting it out for the trophy in this one. And that takes me on to my score prediction. If you're a regular on the channel, you know that I always predict with my head and not my heart. I'll always try and look at results, look at form, look at consistency, and this one's been quite a tough one to pick to pieces. As I say, Salford looking fairly inconsistent, but them being such high scorers in the division does make me worry for tomorrow's game. So it depends what Doncaster Rovers turn up. I'm hoping I'm wrong on this one. I've got to give a prediction somewhere. We have potential of coming away with 3 points, but we've got potential of being absolutely horrid as well. So I've gone with somewhere in the middle, a hard fought game, but coming up short and getting beat 2-0. That's my prediction for this one, and that's where I'm going to leave this video. If you've enjoyed it, please stick a big thumbs up on it for us, please. Comments in the section down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.